which is the one spirituality in the world where a majority of its followers have got the name of its founder wrong, got his father's name wrong, got his birth date wrong, which is the one faith in the world where a majority of its followers know him through thousands of stories that were written 120 years after his death by people who were not his followers, by people who were working against him, all of which stories are either fake, concocted, outright false, or ridiculous, which is the one belief system in the world where a vast majority of its followers have distilled his philosophy into three principles, not knowing that the three principles are created by someone else and not their founder. And although their founder has provided 974 compositions, all self-written and available today, but his followers don't know of them, know but don't read, read but don't understand, or just not care about them. So, Pyareo, these were my questions. There are many more, but I think we have enough for today. To get our answers, let's go through them one by one. The first issue: a vast majority of Sikhs have got the name of their founder wrong. His name is Nanak, but the Sikh world calls him Nanak Dev. So, who added the word Dev to his name? Sikh historian Dr. Harjinder Singh Dilgeer wrote an essay on this subject titled Guru Nanak Sahib or Guru Nanak Dev. You can read it on the link which is provided below. So, why is the word Dev added? Well, if spirituality was a forest, then all the different faiths would be trees in that forest. Each tree would represent one belief system. One of these trees is the spirituality of Sikhi. It stands alone, it stands independent, but it stands within the forest of the spiritual world. But some people want us to think that there is only one tree in the forest of spirituality, and that every religion is simply a branch of it, that the tree is the Sanatan or the Vedic tree. So, Jainism, which was founded by Swami Mahavir, is a branch of that tree. Buddhism, started by Gautam Buddha, is another offshoot of that same tree. Yogism is just another branch, and the Sikhi of Guru Nanak is nothing more but just another offshoot according to these people. So these people with such an agenda of making Sikhi a branch of the big old banyan tree added the word Dev to Guru Nanak's name, and the entire Sikh world has accepted it. These agenda-driven people did a whole lot of things to make Sikhi or to turn Sikhi into a branch of that tree. But that's for another day. The second issue: got his father's name wrong. His father is called Kalu. This is a derogatory name. It is obviously provided by those who want to belittle Guru Nanak and make him appear small. They say Guru Nanak's father was a patwari, a small-time clerk in the land office, and the Sikh world accepted it. The truth of the matter, Pyareo, is that his father's name is Mehta Kalyan Das, Mehta is used for someone who is an advisor or counselor to the ruler of the day. The modern day term for Mehta is counselor minister. The third issue, we got his birth date wrong. He was born on the 1st of Vesak 1469, Vesakhi Day. The month of Vesak is auspicious. That is why all Brahmin festivals are in Vesak. But some people could not accept the fact that Guru Nanak, a non-Brahmin, was born in Vesak. So they pushed the birth date to Katak di Purnamashi, the most inauspicious day in the most inauspicious month according to these people. And the world, the Sikh world, accepted it. If you want to know the whole story of how the birth date of Guru Nanak got changed and want the historical facts behind it, I have provided 3 links in the description below. One is a 30-minute video on this subject. The second is an editorial in the Sikh Bulletin USA. And the third is a research article on the subject of Guru Nanak's real birth date. Now, when some people took the trouble to point out the error of the birth date and wanted it corrected, Sikhs either got upset, gave excuses as to why they cannot change it back to Vesak, or said things like, why does it matter when Guru Nanak was born? So I ask them if it matters if they got their father's birth date wrong and knew that the error was purposive. Guru Nanak Pyare, after all, is the father of our spirituality. We will come back to point 4, the thousands of stories written 120 years after his death, a little later in this same video. What about point 5? The 3 principles that define the spirituality of Guru Nanak. Naam Japana, Vand Shakana and Kirta Karni were introduced to the Sikh world not by Guru Nanak but by Nirmala Pai Veer Singh in the early 1900s. There is not a single verse of Guru Nanak that lays out all these 3 in one place. Of course, we can find these 3 things at different places in Guru Nanak's Bani, but you can find another 100 things in different places. Things like seva, sacrifice, compassion, empathy, helping the poor, making the world a better place, etc. Why not any of these? Why just the 3 as stipulated by Nirmala Veer Singh? Because they are easy to talk about? Because they did not want us to get to the 4th, 5th and 6th? Whatever the reason, it's a distortion of Guru Nanak's philosophy. We are Sikhs of Guru Nanak, not of Nirmala Pai Veer Singh, aren't we? We come to point 6. Although he has provided 974 compositions, all of which are self-written, self-composed, and available today, but his followers don't know of them, know but don't read, read but don't understand, or just not care about them. We will talk about this aspect later in the video as well. Now, Pyareo, I have been involved in Sikhi-Vichar for most of my adult life. And this is my unfortunate experience, which is that the need for Prachar today is not so much what Sikhi is, but what Sikhi is not. This is because Sikhi has been so distorted that our number one priority is to knock down the distortions. Back to knowing Guru Nanak, let's begin with the outlook. So, this is the Guru Nanak that we know, that you know, that the Sikh world knows. Serene face, eyes shut in contemplation, very neat, nice, and compliant beard and mustache, 100% as white as snow, black, immaculately shaped eyebrows. Now, I'm not sure how many of us here know this fact, but this is the artist who painted the picture of Guru Nanak we just saw. His name is Sobha Singh. Do you see what is obvious? This is another Guru Nanak's picture that Sobha Singh painted. I have put it side by side for easy comparison. If we put the turban aside, the facial structure, the eyes, beard, and mustache have uncanny similarities. Could it be, Pyareo, that the artist sat in front of a mirror and drew himself? Could it be that the artist put a turban on his own photo? If that is true, then we have been praying to, bowing to, worshipping Sobha Singh for the last 50 years. If this photo was our guru or represented our guru, then Sobha Singh was our guru because he painted himself. While we are on the topic of photos, let me show you a couple more. This is a common photo of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. It evokes a great deal of emotions, doesn't it? Especially that ray of light coming down from the heavens, a ray of light from God sitting up there. You know that Gurbani says the Creator is within us. We have this verse on page 102 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Sab kich kar mein bahar nahi, bahar tole so param pulahi. Gur prasadi jini antar paya, so antar bahar sohela jio. In Guru Nanak's Sikhi, the divine is within, which means we don't have a God sitting up there or out there. So, this picture is depicting a principle that is against Gurbani. But that is not the only problem. A bigger problem arises when we realize that it's copied from somewhere. See the similarities? Here is another one. This one depicts a man of action, a man of progress, pointing to his destination and his future. This is where that picture of the 10th Guru is copied from. This is Napoleon Bonaparte. He was a French military general who needed to appear larger than he actually was. He had the royal artist draw this picture of him on a horse with its four limbs up in the air to give himself size, height, and stature. He had the background painted to show dark clouds to indicate he was leading France away from dark times. He had his finger pointed upwards to show he was leading France into the future. This sort of thing is called propaganda. The word propaganda means to propagate or to spread an image that is false or concocted. Napoleon Bonaparte needed it. Our gurus did not need the propaganda. But when you copy or plagiarize from others, this is what you get. Back to Guru Nanak. This is the Guru Nanak that most Sikhs know of. Relaxed, soft, gentle hands and feet, with flowers, a Karminder, and with a rosary on his head and around his neck. Can this be the image of someone who walked 24,000 kilometers, someone who walked continuously for 16 years of his life. These are the places Guru Nanak traveled to, mostly by walking, except in voyage 3 to Sri Lanka and voyage 4 on his way back from the Middle East, where he had to cross bodies of water. 24,000 kilometers, 16 years of traveling. Can this be the image of someone who farmed his fields for the final 18 years of his life? Or is that Guru Nanak, the one who walked 24,000 kilometers for 16 years and farmed his fields for 18 years, someone different, a different Guru Nanak? Jaswant Singh Jafar, a Punjabi poet, paints us a very different picture of Guru Nanak, what I call the Guru Nanak of 1469. This is the Guru Nanak of 1969. You see, Pyareo, in 1969, Sikhs celebrated the 500th birthday of Guru Nanak, and Sobha Singh presented this painting to the Sikh world in that year, 1969. The SGPC accepted Sobha Singh's photo as the official photo of Guru Nanak, and Gyani Zail Singh, the then President of India, awarded Sobha Singh the highest award of Padam Shri in 1983. But let's go back to Guru Nanak of 1469, the real Guru Nanak. Jaswant Singh Zafar paints us a picture of that Guru Nanak, the one we have come here to know today. ਲੰਬੇ ਪੈਂਡੇ ਦੀ ਧੂੜ ਨਾਲ ਲੱਥ ਪੱਥ ਪਿੰਜਣੀਆਂ. This is the translation. Calves and ankles baked in layers of mud from walking the long journeys. ਲੰਬੇ ਪੈਂਡੇ ਦੀ ਧੂੜ ਨਾਲ ਲੱਥ ਪੱਥ ਪਿੰਜਣੀਆਂ. ਲੰਮੇ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਪਾਟੀਆਂ ਅੱਡੀਆਂ. Heels dried and split open by the treachery of the parts. ਹਨੇਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਉਲਝੀ ਹੋਈ ਖੁਸ਼ਕ ਦਾੜੀ. A beard brittle, knotted and disheveled by the harsh dry winds. ਬਰਫੀਲੀਆਂ ਹਵਾਵਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਝੰਬੀ ਹੋਈ ਚਿਹਰੇ ਦੀ ਪਰਕਰੋੜ ਚਮੜੀ. A face stripped of its shine and turned into dried wrinkled skin by the cold breezes. ਤੇ ਪਰ ਕਰੋੜ ਚਮੜੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਭਰੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਦੋ ਉੱਚੀਆਂ ਹੱਡੀਆਂ. And two protruding bony sockets rising from underneath that dried wrinkled skin. ਉੱਚੀਆਂ ਹੱਡੀਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੇਖੌਫ ਚਮਕਦੀਆਂ ਦੋ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਜੋ ਸਮਾਜ ਨੂੰ, ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੇ ਰੀਤੀ ਰਿਵਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਟਿੱਚ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਣਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ. And within that conspicuous cavities of sockets, two bright and fearless eyes, eyes that cut down with a glance, debilitating customs and beliefs of society, of culture, and of authority. ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਖਤਰਨਾਕ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਧਰਨਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਫਕ ਨਹੀਂ. These eyes have become unacceptable for us to look into, to contemplate on, and to envision. But these set of sleepy, dreamy, drowsy eyes are fine for the Sikh world. Now, so far, we have talked about the physical Nanak. There are other aspects to knowing Guru Nanak. We will start from this picture itself. The person on the right is named Bhai Bala. He wrote a complete and comprehensive text detailing the life of Guru Nanak. It's called Bhai Bale Wali Janamsakhi. A Janamsakhi literally means a life story. So Bhai Bala's Janamsakhi is the most common and most popular reference for Guru Nanak's life. Bhai Bala's narrative is based on the claim that he was a lifelong companion of Guru Nanak. His claim is that He was an eyewitness to Guru Nanak's life and a participant in it. The opening para of the Janamsakhi says he was commissioned by Guru Angad to write the Janamsakhi. The Sikh world knows Guru Nanak through thousands of Sakhis about the Guru's life, and they come largely from Pai Bala's Janamsakhi. In short, Pyareo, virtually everything that the Sikh world knows about Guru Nanak today comes from Pai Bala's Janamsakhi, a biography of Guru Nanak written by the man on the right, an eyewitness to Guru Nanak's life and an active participant. This is the cover of Pai Bala's Janamsakhi. On the right is the title page, the contents page and the publisher details, the famous Pai Jeevan Singh, Chatar Singh of Amritsar. There are, however, a few major problems with the Pai Bala Janamsakhi, and these problems were exposed by Karam Singh, a historian of great caliber, who unfortunately lived a short life of just 46 years. So these are the major problems with Pai Bala's eyewitnessed account of Guru Nanak's life. The first was that Pai Bala did not exist. That means Guru Nanak had no companion named Bala. Guru Nanak's travel companion was Pai Mardana. Mardana is mentioned in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji in Guru Nanak's Bani, but there is no mention of Pai Bala. Third, Karam Singh historian pointed out that the Pai Bala Janamsakhi was written 120 years after the demise of Guru Nanak. This fact is actually derived from within the Janamsakhi itself. संवत 1715 माघ सुदी 6 पोथी लिखी गुरप्रसाद गोरखदास संगत गुरु का जाचक. Translation: March 6th, year 1715, which is 1658 AD, book written with the blessings of the Guru by Gorakhdas, disciple of the Sangat of the Guru. Guru Nanak passed on in 1539 AD. So this Janamsakhi was written 120 years after that in 1658 AD. Fourth, this Janamsakhi was the handiwork of a family of a Masand of Jandiala named Handal. These Handalis were thus the ghost writers of the Pai Bala Janamsakhi. The Handalis were bitter enemies of the Guru household. The objective of writing this Janamsakhi was to belittle Guru Nanak's character, assassinate him, and make the Handali Guru bigger and larger than Guru Nanak. For example, there is a Sakhi of Guru Nanak getting married to a Muslim woman. Why is this included? To make Guru Nanak into someone with questionable morals. It's for that same reason we read in equally fake Sakhis about our other Gurus that Guru Hargobind Pacha, for instance, had 3 wives, Guru Gobind Singh had 4 wives, Guru Har Rai had 7 wives, all of whom were sisters, etc. The objective is the same, to show our Gurus in bad light, unable to control their impulses. Back to the Pai Bala Janamsakhi. The Janamsakhi opens with fake incidents. The opening para of the Janamsakhi is that Guru Nanak was born on Kattak Di Purnamashi in 1469. This is a fabrication. Guru Nanak was born in Vaisakh. The next para goes like this. One day, Guru Angad said it was very unfortunate that no one really knew Guru Nanak. He asked his Sikhs if they knew anyone who knew Guru Nanak. The Sikhs told Guru Angad, Pacha Pai Bala, who lives in the next village, would know because he was a companion of Guru Nanak. So Pai Bala was brought before Guru Angad. Guru Angad asked him, But who are you? And how do you know Guru Nanak? Pai Bala said he was the lifelong companion of Guru Nanak. Convinced, Guru Arjan then told Pai Bala to write the Janamsakhi. How and why is this opening paragraph of the Janamsakhi a fabrication meant to give authenticity to a book that had zero authenticity? Here are two reasons. Firstly, Guru Angad Ji came to Guru Nanak at age 27 and remained with him for 7 years before being appointed the successor Guru. Why would he, Guru Angad, be saying it was sad or unfortunate that no one really knew Guru Nanak? Didn't he himself know Guru Nanak? Secondly, when Pai Bala was brought before him, Guru Angad asked, Who are you? This is according to the opening page of the Janamsakhi. How is it possible that Guru Angad, having spent 7 years in the company of Guru Nanak, knew nothing of Pai Bala, did not know Bala, and had to ask him, Who are you? This, Pyareo, is Karam Singh, historian's conclusion regarding Pai Bala's Janamsakhi. The Pai Bala Janamsakhi is a totally false, fraudulent book from start to finish. It's full of vilification of the Sikh Gurus through the creation of fake stories, concocted narratives, and totally unbelievable tales. This book should be buried deep down, so deep that it is never found again. Just to give you a flavor of what's in Pai Bala's Janamsakhi, one would expect factual accuracy because he claimed he was Guru Nanak's companion. Bala says Guru Nanak, Pai Mardana, and he himself crossed the ocean to go to Mecca and Medina by riding on the back of a whale. And there is a whole biographical story of this whale in the Sakhi. It was no ordinary whale. According to Pai Bala, this whale was a companion of Guru Nanak in the Guru's past life. Pyareo, there is a total of 6 Janamsakhis, biographies of Guru Nanak. These are the other 5. The oldest being composed in 1733 by Dayaram the writer and illustrated with pictures by Alam Chand Raj, the painter or the artist. This Janamsakhi is also called the B40 Janamsakhi. The B40 is the accession number assigned by the India Office Library in London. This one is written 264 years after Guru Nanak's advent. Among all this, the most popular Janamsakhi among Sikhs is Pai Bala's Janamsakhi. In fact, this is the one that is most widely disseminated. The remaining 5 have become rare and are virtually impossible to find today. This is my take on these Sikh Janamsakhis. I wrote the following in an essay for Guru Nanak's 555th birthday last year in April. Viewed collectively, these Janamsakhis paint Guru Nanak as a mystic, a miracle performer, a faith healer, a magician, a purveyor of superstitious beliefs, a practitioner of supernatural powers, a recluse, an ascetic, an unproductive child, a neglecting father, demanding blind faith, and so much more. In these Janamsakhis, snakes come over to shade him as he slept while his cows ate the fields of others. His father slaps him for wasting his hard-earned money. In the wink of an eye, he brings back to life fields eaten by his cows. Elsewhere, he drowns in a river and comes back to life 3 days later. He brings dead people back to life and stops a mountain of a stone hurled at him with his palm's impression which got engraved in that stone. In these Janamsakhis, he flies over the mountains to meet yogis and siddhs residing there. He rides a whale to cross the ocean towards the Arabian Peninsula. He orders his son to hang out clothes to dry in the middle of the night and tells his disciple Pai Lena to eat a corpse. This is the Guru Nanak that Sikhs seem to know, the non-existent one, of course. You can read the whole essay at the link in the description below. Now, everywhere and every time I present this stuff pertaining to Janamsakhis, I get two questions. Why did this happen? Can we know where these Sakhis come from? Surely there must be some basis to these Sakhis. For the why part, we have two broad reasons. First, the conspiracy reason. These Sakhis are composed by people who subscribe to the Banaras, Sanatan, and Vedantic belief systems, who wanted to make Guru Nanak's Sikhi a branch of that big tree and make Guru Nanak into a practitioner of these discarded beliefs, hence the Sakhis to these effect. There is also an innocent reason. All of these Sakhis were written after the arrival of the British. The British came with Christianity, which relies on the phenomena of miracles to propagate. Jesus cured the blind man, made a leper healthy, brought back a dead person to life, walked over water, etc. Some Sikhs felt there was a need to propagate Sikhi using miracles to make it as effective as Christianity. But in Sikhi, there were no miracles. If you read Guru Nanak's writings, he critiques miracles. So, since there were none, they had to be created and concocted. So, Sakhis were concocted to make Guru Nanak fly up in the mountains, make Guru Nanak disappear under a river for 3 days, have a cobra shade Guru Nanak, and so on. Where did they come from? Well, there were two massive religions around then who had their own miraculous tales. So why not take from them? Who will ever find out? Sikhs? Sikhs would believe just about any tale you told them. But just in case there was some nosy Sikhs, why not modify the tall tales of others to make it sound originally ours? Let me give you an example. Guru Nanak being shaded by the hood of a snake. This picture is kind of confusing. We know that cobras display the hood when threatened or agitated. We know that the expansion of the neck is a defensive mechanism used to make the cobra appear larger and more intimidating to potential predators. So, is the cobra shading Guru Nanak? If it is indeed being benevolent and kind in providing shade, why does it simultaneously appear threatened and defensive? Anyway, the question was, where do you think this tale came from? I took this as an example here because the answer may not be so obvious. Well, within the Sufi Islamic faith, there is an individual by the name of Abu ul Hasan Hajwari. He is also known in the Muslim world as Data Ganj Baksh in the Sufi world. He lived from 1009 to 1072 AD in Punjab. Hajwari died in Lahore. He was the most important Sufi to have lived in Punjab 400 years before Guru Nanak. His genealogical chain goes back 8 generations to Ali, a cousin of the Prophet. He is the most well-known, well-read Sufi in Punjab. His shrine is the biggest in Pakistan with the most number of annual visitors. In fact, his death anniversary is a public holiday in Pakistan. It is celebrated as a 3-day death anniversary. I am telling you all this, Pyareo, just in case someone thinks I'm talking about some insignificant person. So the origin of the Sakhi of Guru Nanak being shaded by a snake comes from here. This is the para we can find on page 43 of the book. A Muslim saint named Abdullah was sleeping in the garden under a tree. He saw a snake fanning him by waving a branch over the sleeping saint. The objective of the story is plain. It is to make the saint much bigger in life than he really is. The writers of the Sakhi about Guru Nanak adopted it, modified it to make Guru Nanak appear mystical and magical and one who was being served by the animal kingdom. So, up to this point, we know who Guru Nanak is not. He is not the Guru Nanak the Sikh world thinks it knows. Let's see if we can know who Guru Nanak really is, not from the Janamsakhis, but from the Shabads written by Guru Nanak himself in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. We will look at that in part 2 of this series of 2 videos.